Alright, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little while since I've done a repair video. Up on the chopping block today we have a Yamaha EF12000DE generator. So it's a 9500 watt running, 12,000 peak watt generator. It's powered by a 22 horsepower twin, I believe. Obviously has electric start because you're not pulling that thing over by hand. 50 amp, 30 amp, and all the bells and whistles over here. Got this free under the agreement that if I fix it up and sell it, I will split the profits with the owner who gave it to me. The complaint I had when it was brought in was that it wouldn't turn off. Not really sure what that meant, so got a new old battery I had laying around, charged it up, and when I hooked up terminals, no key in, so key's out, key's not in the keyhole right here. Hook this up and fires right over, rolls over, starts without a key in the ignition at all. So my thought was, okay, something with the key switch was wrong here, but a lot of times with these starters, the solenoid will get fused between the positive and negative in there, and then kind of force the start. So my thought was, okay, let me pull off the wire here that you get from it's like the monetary or momentary to the starter. That's what should be sent, the signal, the 12 volt signal from the key, or whatever control unit up there is, down here to tell it to go hot. So right now it's constantly hot here, and this will close the circuit to make the starter go. So if I unplug that, and it still rolls over, then it's most likely the starter solenoid. Pretty easy replacement. That was my hope originally. So put this on. Okay, it's not starting. That's good. Sort of. Not great, actually. It's good the solenoid is not bad, but at the same time is what else is wrong. So next troubleshooting step. This did come to me with this electric panel already pulled off, so I kind of had a hint that it wasn't the solenoid, but you never know. Pull off these terminals now so we don't have that. Into the rat's nest that is the control unit for this particular generator. A rag over the terminals and the battery. Let's see if you can see. Yep. Also, this unit right here was not connected. It was sitting out on top of the generator. This has been sitting in a barn for a couple of years. So first thing first, I checked out the starter switch. Cross-referenced it with the wiring diagram that I found online. Let's see if I can show you this on the phone. So here's the starter switch right here. Let me zoom in. I checked to make sure the connections, when it was off, only those two were connected, on was those two, and when it start position, all three of those worked. So that worked. I pulled apart the switch, pulled off the board, cleaned out the inside, everything's working there. Okay. Next steps. Why was this control module pulled off and sitting out there? I don't know. So I started looking at the wire diagram quite a bit closer, and I thought, okay, well, the next thing here is this starter relay. So if you notice over here, here's the starter solenoid. Try to let that focus, sorry. It's hard to focus. Okay, there we go. This red line coming right here. That's the red, that's that momentary wire pulled off the back there. In this diagram, the red comes across here, over to the starter relay, right down through here, and that gets signals from this electronic control unit. Okay, so you need box 12, you need 8, you need an orange hot. Orange is hot here from the switch, and then you need one more line. So I started looking for this component, this relay, and I looked on the parts diagram for this particular model, and it showed a relay mounted to one of these mounting screws here. So this gets mounted onto the tray back here, and there was a relay hanging off one of these studs. I couldn't find it. So, come to discover, this unit here has been superseded by a newer unit. Okay? And I'm pretty sure this older unit has a starter relay built into it. And most likely this is an earlier version. It's been superseded because the starter relay that's built into it burned out, caused issues, so they took the relay, exported it out of this particular unit, and then hung it off the side. I'm quite certain that is what happened, because every wiring diagram I found has this external starter relay. This unit does not have it. In addition, this electronic control unit has a crack right there by the tip of my thumb. I'm not sure you can see it. That's a crack in this potting fill. Underneath here are the components and everything else. They use this for weatherproofing and also for, you know, vibration control. This potting here kind of keeps the components from rattling around on the board and breaking the solder joints. So I'm pretty sure that lines up right, coincidentally maybe, right with this number 8 and 9. And on the wiring diagram, look up here, 8 and 9, 9 is the orange hot coming in from the key. 8 is the brown that's supposed to go to this starter relay. But on this particular unit, guess what 8 is? I'll show you real quick. 9 is that orange one right there coming hot from the key. 8 is a red line. Is that the red line that goes to, yes it is, that is the red line that goes to the starter as a momentary for the starter solenoid. So this older unit, I pretty much confirmed the starter relay is built in here somehow. I'm sure it couldn't handle the current draw, and therefore they upgraded it and removed that component out. So we're getting somewhere. Now this unit right here, Yamaha was pretty proud of their part, and I found one online. It was like $650. Not going to happen. This generator might be worth $700-800, you know, once I get it cleaned up and running right. So that was a no-go. And I found that the superseded ones were still discontinued because this generator hasn't been made in a few years. So they stopped making those. So I can't even get the newer version. Even if I wanted to, I had to buy the newer version and then get the relay also for another $50. So I did find these through Alibaba, I guess, was making some replacement parts. I think it was like around $250, $300 just for this replacement part, then $55 for the relay. So we're looking again, probably $450 to try. Again, not worth it. So my thought here is that if everything else inside this very expensive electronic control unit still functions, which means the low oil shut off, power to the coils to fire this thing, if everything else still works, then I can just bypass the starter relay. I'm going to use the key essentially as the relay. So what I'm going to try to attempt, I'm going to plug this electronic control unit back in. Okay, and I'll hook that back up there later. And here is the red hot that is going down to the momentary for the starter solenoid. So I unplug this guy. Now, I tested before. That obviously is not connected there. We're not getting hot lines, and the starter will not go. One other thing I forgot to mention, but I did check in this electronic control unit, and 8 and 9 pins right here are hot. They're fused. There's continuity between 8 and 9, so there shouldn't be, obviously, because 9 is hot and 8 should only be when you turn the key on. You know, so because 8 and 9 are fused, therefore this is always going to turn the starter over as soon as you apply power. It's going to go, you know, bypass the switch, orange is hot, going to here, orange is connected to red, therefore right back to the starter solenoid and setting it off. So that's not right. This is broken inside. I'm 99.8% sure, and I'm not a mechanical or electrical engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer, so I don't like doing electrical stuff. This is just, I want to get this thing fixed and out of my garage, taking up space. So what I'm going to do, I could splice into the starter line. So the gray wires are the ST, essentially, on the starter switch, right there. ST column are gray wires. One gray wire is going up here into the control module. The other gray wire is going down to a remote control. On this particular generator, there's a remote control, so you can almost wire this thing as a standby generator and have your remote control that's hooked to this plug right here, running into your house. And then, you know, when the power goes off, you could turn it on from inside, I guess. I guess is the idea behind that. I didn't look into it too much. I don't have the remote control, so I don't need it. But I'm thinking, as a way to test this, I could take the gray wire, which is the one that comes from the starter, you know, only when the key's turned, separate that there, and then take that and then hook it up to the red wire that's going to the starter. Okay? Should fit in there. Okay. Now, with that like that, I'll make sure this momentary wire on the starter solenoid is installed back on. sandal making that noise, nothing else, in case you heard that. Now we'll take this panel, lift it out of the way, put the battery terminals back on, so right on hot. Let's see if this, I messed up, this may go. Oh, okay, that's good. Not tightening them on for finality's sake, just for test purposes. Okay, so if I put the key in, this key is a little, now this should turn over when I turn it to start. Okay, that oil light, you saw that come on. The oil light coming on tells me that that electronic control unit is working. Okay, everything else besides the starter relay. So I think by me bypassing that really free, quick trick there, after studying the wiring diagram for an hour, because I'm not an electrician or an electrical engineer, I think I have it sorted out where I can bypass it for free. Can't use the remote now. Couldn't use it before, I don't have the remote. And I can kind of work on the rest of the things to see if I can get this thing running. So that's where we're at right now. Switch, start, does that, okay. So now we'll take, the next steps are going to be, pulling the spark plugs, making sure we have spark, because that'll also confirm if the electronic control unit's working. And then going from there to make sure we get fuel, and diagnosing this as a, typical small engine repair. So that has been what I've been up to, reading up for the past, couple of nights in my spare time, just kind of reading about this. I know I tried to summarize it in about 5 minutes. Maybe that was boring to you, but I thought it was pretty slick. If you ever run across this and have the same problem with this generator, I might have found a solution. Again, the end of the video will tell, but for now, the key works. To turn that over when it's supposed to, the red low oil light comes on. When you turn that on, that means it hasn't pumped up enough oil yet. So that means at least that part of this electronic control unit is working. So that's 2 steps in the right direction. So what we're going to do is mount this all back up how it should be, and then the next part of the video will be me working on getting the 22 horsepower twin overhead valve engine going. Just wanted to also mention that this is a rebranded Robin, I think it's GVT12000 is the name of that generator. So Robin is a company that makes industrial engines bought out by Subaru. So Robin/Subaru makes an identical unit to this Yamaha, but it's orange in color. So just to let you know, and I cross-referenced looking for part numbers under that particular model, still couldn't find this electronic control unit, still discontinued. So again, I'm really hoping that I may have found a slick, poor man's way of getting this back up and running with all the safety still built in. The only safety that would not be still used by me bypassing this is this unit has a delay. If you turn off the generator, you can't restart it within like 1.5 seconds. So that's the only thing I think we bypassed by not using the starter feature that's built into this instead of just using the key. So anyway, that being said, hopefully that wasn't too much rambling. And if you have the same unit and the same trouble, hopefully that helped you. And let's see if we can get the rest of this thing done and fired up. So what I'm doing now is just mounting this electronic control unit up there. Didn't think it was that fun to videotape it, but what I did find out while doing this is this control unit has been disconnected from here for a while. So I think somebody may have bypassed the starter relay a while ago and then tried using the starter circuit inside electronic control unit, which then caused it to burn out. So it may have worked for a while and then finally gave up the ghost. So I'll find a little more about it, but again, I think my fix is going to work regardless of what was going on with this unit beforehand. And I want to get this thing running reliably. I don't like selling things that don't work. So anyway, that's that. Okay, I have that module mounted back up in there. Replug this thing in. Okay, and then try and get all these wires, stuff back in here properly. See these 2 right here, that's just, there's no hour meter in this particular unit. That's why those aren't plugged into anything. Otherwise, this has my little bypass right there. Everything should be connected back in. should be. So you never know the history of these machines when you get them in, you know. This guy got this for you, so who knows what the previous owner did. I don't like doing electrical, so if this works, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back, maybe drink a beer, celebration. Alright, put some fresh fuel in it. There's no fuel in there. Supposed to have an automatic choke on it, so we'll give it a go. Try a little starting fluid maybe. Okay. Get fuel to it. It's running on one cylinder right now, it seems like. Alright, so I didn't record earlier, I goofed. I was up here working on it, just kind of one thing went to the next. So, these wires coming up here. These two white ones are for the idle down feature. Gas saver, I guess they call it. And then there's a couple red ones here. One red with a white stripe wire, splits into two reds. One goes to the choke, I believe. The other one goes to the fuel cutoff solenoid. So it seemed like before the fuel solenoid, it wasn't getting fuel into the carb, so that's why it wasn't start before. So what I did is I pulled off this cover, air filter cover, and fuel cutoff solenoid is right behind my finger over here. Hard to see. Got red wire going there. So I ended up pulling off this breather hose right here, which takes, gases off the top of the cylinder, recirculates back into reburnum. And then I pulled off this bracket for the idle down. This is a fuse that brings the idle down and controls the idle of the engine. There's one bolt there, pulled it out of the way towards me. And then I ended up pulling off the fuel cutoff solenoid right underneath there with a 19mm wrench. Pulled it out, it was all gummed up. It would not move. So, got that free and moving. I wish I'd showed you, so I just cleaned out the tip of it and then applied some voltage and watched it move back very slowly. You release the voltage, it goes in and shuts off the fuel flow. So it was getting voltage. It gets voltage a little, it's only getting like 10.5 volts instead of 12, but it did pull back enough to start, as you just saw it running there. So anyway, let's see if it'll start up right now. It doesn't like to start up after it ran for a while. So turn the key on and give it a go. Almost. Okay, well, at least I got the kinks worked out. That set up pretty good that time. The instructions said to do that, turn the economy off before turning it off, and then before you turn it on, it's got to be off. Sometimes it has I don't know, when it's warm, restarts aren't that great. Just noticed that now, so we'll see if it'll fire up this time. No. So you saw a delay there, and I think I know what that is. When I was measuring voltage over there at the plug going into the solenoid, it's only getting 10.5 volts, and the voltage didn't come up until it started cranking. I would think that would get voltage as soon as you turned this key to on. So I have to research that a little more if the electronic control module is having other issues besides the one I bypassed with the start relay. If it is, then maybe I'll just hot wire that solenoid to I think B on the relay, on the ignition switch, to make that whenever you turn this to on, that relay opens up, or sorry, the fuel solenoid opens up. And then when you turn it off, obviously you'll shut that down and shut off the spark as well. So something a little bit odd going on there. Let's see if it'll start this time. Almost. Notice that when this light doesn't turn on the first time, yeah, I think the reason I have to turn it over for a while, start for a little while, it's got to give that solenoid time to open up. It's very slow to open up, maybe because it's a little old and tired. It's probably a new fuel cutoff solenoid would probably make this thing fire right up as soon as you hit the key. But I think I can live with that fix. Anyway, this project might be done. I'll let it sit overnight and then give it a go tomorrow, start it up, and see if it starts up as well. So I tried using both tanks. I put fresh fuel in both tanks, and I was switching back and forth between the tanks. I think both tanks are clear as far as good gas, and seems to be a runner. So, all right, till later. Bye. Let's try a cold start. Exhaust. Just should fire up. Time to clean this generator up. It's got a lot of years of schmutz on it, so we'll clean this baby up with a brush and some water. It's not a compound detail, just a little cleaner for pictures. Let it dry off and it'll start up, make sure everything still works. Idle features on, breakers on, grill. Idles back down, drills off. On. Idles back down. Off-road tires make it easier to move around outside. 22 horsepower Robin industrial engine.